Hello everyone, back again. I'm doing another walking video. Hopefully I'll be out here for a little while. So, slightly, I guess, a little bit of an update. Not really though. I have a topic in hand, which you'll tell by the title. But just an update. Everything's been going pretty well for the most part. At least a couple of the channels are getting content out as quickly as possible. For about a month there, I couldn't upload on XOYNI because I was using another device, and then another device wouldn't let me upload to it unless I had Wi-Fi. So I could go into Wi-Fi and upload from there, which was few and far between, but I still got some out. So I'm pumping out content on as many channels as possible. Quickly, I'll go through it. We got XOYNI, ALE XOYNI, XODCYNI, WWE Rhea Morgan, and Bella Boomerose. So maybe I'll get back to putting them in the description if I remember to, but I won't hold you up too long. I want to get to some of the topics at hand, and I'm not sure how many videos I'm doing, so I'm just gonna make it short and sweet here. So yeah, expect more soon. Be constant pretty much. On one of those channels, at least for now, you'll be getting a lot of content. Definitely look through the channel because there's topics on everything. Usually I try to separate them, so if you're not in the mood for one at the moment, save it for later, go back and check it out later. I've got wrestling, I got Yu-Gi-Oh, I got Pokemon, I've got esoteric, whatever crosses my mind. Sports, news, anything. Alright, so this topic is going to be something that really infuriates me. Is going to be a little bit, quote-unquote, less, it might seem less important of an esoteric topic, but it really is an esoteric topic, considering, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, entertainers' effect on people and how they're pushing agendas, so to speak. I'm going to focus a lot on wrestling. I actually watched a good video recently, actually just minutes ago, that was really reminding me of a lot of things. I write a lot of these down and I'll lose the paper, so I'm going to take some of those that they said and give my opinions on them. People go on Twitter and all this stuff, all these different social medias, and they're able to just do whatever they want and really just embarrass themselves. So I'm just gonna say my stuff back. My opinion, specifically in wrestling and entertainment, anybody who's on TV or on the internet that has some sort of following, has some sort of fan base that people know them, they're almost guaranteed to be pushing some agenda. Like every one of them. Like they don't just shut up and do what they're supposed to be doing. They have to run their mouths about not liking this, not liking that, telling people they should support this, don't support that, don't like this person, just all that type of stuff. And it's all divisive nonsense. And that's really part of the agenda. Everyone's supposed to go against each other and so forth, and they're just feeding into it, whether they know it or not. I'd say a good portion of them do know exactly what they're doing. I know they do, because they're high enough up to know, they're very well rewarded, we'll say. And then a lot of other peons just follow it, and the peons just go right along with everything. So they think they're doing what's right, but really they couldn't be doing right if they thought. If they think they're doing right, they're not, so to speak. I think that pretty much covered in short how to, what I'm talking about here. I'm not sure exactly how far deep I want to get into it. I know a lot of wrestlers specifically go into agendas from mainstream news being real, the taking of free speech, taking away rights, supporting other countries, hating on the country they live and or birthed in, specifically America. The way they speak, all these different things that they're doing. I'm seeing right through them because I know exactly how these people work. And they're not fooling me, and I hope they're not fooling you or anyone you know. Because they're part of the system, they know what their job is, and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to by the high ups. You know, notice how specifically in wrestling, there's so many wrestlers that die, and no one ever really thinks anything more of just, oh yeah, 36-year-old guy just drops dead of a heart attack. Oh, this guy dropped from the dang roof of the building, dies. Owen Hart, Bray Wyatt. You can look into numerology, a lot of deaths surrounding that. A lot of guys who don't get along with a lot of old wrestlers and stuff like that. People that don't like Vince McMahon, oh, they drop dead. Bray Wyatt dies on Vince McMahon's birthday. He dies right after the time that he's allegedly forced to put something in his body to keep a job. And WWE fires people over them not wanting to put something in their body and not go along with things. Specifically, there was a wrestler, a low-tier wrestler, not really anyone knows who they are yet, was saying about how the Florida Hurricanes didn't look natural, et cetera, which, you got my attention there. You got my fandom. I'm not gonna say anything bad against them. So, from there, don't mind me. I was just walking by, and apparently the dog was beating on the glass. That kind of was like, wow, what the heck? Anywho, so I was a big fan of that. Name was Danny Palmer from WWE. I think she's on NXT or something. I don't even know if she's really on NXT that much. I think she's more of a performance center, which means like you're in training to become to get on their developmental TV or whatnot. So I'm all for people speaking the truth, speaking out about what they think is wrong, because it's 100% accurate. And then all the geeks, they go, oh, we gotta disagree because that's not a mainstream narrative. Well, isn't that the kind of the point? The mainstream narrative lies to you all the time. You only believe things that aren't true. You only believe what you're told. What kind of nonsense is that? Nonsense. Exactly. So I was very proud of that. And I have many, many examples. There's wrestlers that talked about things about how they didn't want to take something inside their body, like I said, then, get fired. Or they get sick after they take the injection. Or they talk about how injections over time cause children specifically to get diseases and so forth. And 100% accurate. And then they become the hated person. Like, oh no, we can't support them anymore. And they never call out the people that their favorite people. They're, they can never divide the person from the character, which is just embarrassing. They actually think like a TV show is legitimate. Like, they take a dang sporting event, quote unquote, entertainment, as reality, and they don't know how to divide that. They don't, like, a wrestler can say something that's completely in character, and they'll take it as fact. They'll take it as this person really believes what they're saying. That's the point. They're a character on a TV show. You don't believe that this, person on TV really did all this stuff that they're doing on screen. Well, sometimes you should, but that's neither here nor there. It's not meant to be that way. Wrestling's a lot different than just even TV or sports, too. It's its own thing. But there's just so much nonsense with that type of thing. And, I mean, there's wrestlers that you've heard of that definitely are pushing agendas. And maybe people don't see it because they don't see things like what they do and say on social media and so forth, which is actually a really, really interesting life. It's a lot different than my life, for sure. I'm not even really on what you'd call social media besides YouTube. and I still know what's going on. I see, like, when I'm watching, say, like, I put on a wrestling show, and I'm checking that out, which is few and far between. I see the same occult symbols. I see the same storylines. You know, whether it's, excuse me here, like extreme violence or the weakening of people or promiscuity to death to Satanism to secret society type stuff to betrayal. It's like the same type of stuff over and over. Like, they don't do anything really new or original. They just repeat the same crap. And the same crap is all occultic agenda pushing, division, taking of rights. You know, there's only so much they do on screen, but they get their stuff in. They definitely get their stuff in when they can, which is pretty often, frankly. Excuse me, I'm spitting a little bit as I'm walking here. Yeah, if you don't know, there's a lot. Let's just say that. I don't even know how many I could say at the moment, but there's multiple hundreds that if I really looked around and whatnot, I mean, you can look at just specifically just look up like wrestling history scandals, wrestling history theories, wrestling history. I'm trying to think of what word to use. It's hard to say what word to look up. Just look up Satanism or occult symbolism type deal, and you'll see. Like, it's like the characters not mock as in make fun of, but they copy is the word I'm looking for. Copy, like, mainstream narratives. Like, you've got guys that are based on Aleister Crowley, which, if you don't know who Aleister Crowley was, his own books talk about the getting rid of children. And I mean live children, not even that other one. Specifically, and much worse, what they would do to the child beforehand, and animals, and other humans, not just child age, just wild stuff, and that's considered normal. They're like, oh man, that's cool. That's not cool at all. That's beyond disturbing, and it makes me sick. It really does. Because beforehand, I could see how some people don't see some of it going on. And they're like, oh, I like this wrestler or whatever. This guy's a good talker on a microphone or whatever. And then they never touch on the stuff that they actually are saying and doing, whether on or off screen, so to speak, if that makes sense. They'll go after one person that does something, but another person does the exact same thing or very similar. They'll go after them, but they won't go after the other. They'll find an excuse when they need an excuse, if they need to do it. Because honestly, I follow wrestling mostly on reviews. So there's probably 5 to 10 main reviewers that I really keep an eye on, so to speak. I only watch a couple of them. I used to try to listen to all of them that I could get, kind of get all the different mindsets, thinking I was missing out on something, or would give me better ideas on some things. But really, most of them are just very much the same, and the opinions just kind of blend. And I know some of them even copy each other. So it's like, you're not even thinking for yourself. So why are you saying the exact same thing that other people are saying just because they're bigger names, or you want to, push your agendas and get big and so forth? I mean, you can look at some of these guys. I mean, there's one guy, he's got a big bagel nose. We know who he's supporting. Solid Monster, he's got a big old bagel nose on him. He's, allowed to be big. He's not even that entertaining. Like, how can you sit through hours of him talking? He's boring. He really is boring. I like his Be the Booker segment, but other than that, that's about all he's got. So I know when he does Be the Booker, So I'll go right to the end and I'll listen to Be the Booker. And I think that's a good little short topic to record, to screen record. I'll give him credit for that. He's the only one that I've ever seen really do that right now. You know, and then really if anybody else does it, it's more like, you know, you weren't the first to do it at least. Not that it matters, but it's like, it's an original concept that nobody, you know, I never saw anybody else do it yet. So, and even if they did, like I said, you know, that'd be a whole situation. Oh, well, this person did it first, blah, blah, blah. Does it really matter? No. But it's just that mindset. You know, this guy's, he's right up there with one of the main guys that really reviews wrestling. And I agree with him on some things. You know, I think all of them kind of are in a space now, a lot more over the last maybe 5 to 10 years than it used to be, where they'll actually come out and talk about like characters and storylines and different things, like selling in the ring being more important. But it used to be like such a hive mind where everybody would agree, like, oh, we need long matches with no selling and you know, not making it look realistic and so forth. And you know, a lot of these people will say some of these things that you'll agree with, and then they'll say something completely off. Like, they'll push agendas. And in my opinion, which I know it's not just an opinion, they're getting told to say these things. And the YouTube algorithm and whatnot helps them out a lot more when you go right with the system and you don't say certain words in your video, like you don't say certain words in your topic, in your title, excuse me, because I know for a fact that most of my titles are not, what is it called, like ESG or whatever, or DEI friendly. Like if I say, oh, this match sucked or whatever, or I say, you know, someone made a mistake here, it's like they take it as an over critique, even if I'm just criticizing, like giving my opinion, saying, okay, this could be different, this doesn't connect to this. You know, other people do that better than I do a lot of times anyways. But you know, everyone's allowed to have their opinions, and the people that have really bad opinions, I've tried laughing at them for a long time. Mostly they're just annoying at this point because most of them are hive mind. They're copying the exact same thing off of each other. But, you know, there's a lot of them to varying degrees. They mostly agree on things. I think that the whole idea of social media and wrestling has more or less killed off a lot of the fun of it. Everybody knows what's going to happen before it happens. It's so many spoilers and so forth. Like, I could try to avoid, like, say like I was a Twitter person or whatever. You'd get it on Twitter, you get it on Facebook, you get it on TikTok, you get all these spoilers and whatnot because it's more and more mainstream, the spoiler culture and these big publications that, instead of actually protecting the business that they're supposedly caring about, they go out of their way to expose everything as what's going to happen, and they get mad when they come up with theories that don't come true and so forth. And other people, you know, they're listening to it, you know, thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are listening, and they tell their people. It's like a whole cycle. And when people don't get their way, they have little fits. And it's really just embarrassing and annoying. So it's few and far between. Different topics you can listen to different people on. So, you know, I know it's a mixed bag for my channels, how many views I get and so forth on different wrestling topics or whatever. I know I'm very much shadow banned, you know, more or less, or whatever, censored. I know that there's a severe watch on XOY and I specifically, It's my biggest channel. Everybody knows it. I know I've been around a long time, doing all kinds of different content, and pretty much almost any content I've ever really had, it has been messed with. You know, I get copyright strikes, which back in the day, I'd never even heard of a copyright strike. I'd heard of a copyright takedown. Maybe, if you never had a strike, you get a copyright warning, but now you get copyright strikes. One of my main 5 channels, I want to say it's WWE Rhea Morgan, which is my newest one, has 2 copyright strikes on a Big Bang Theory episode and a Pokemon episode. And at least the Pokemon episode, I didn't speed them up. And that's why I speed up my content, not only to avoid copyright, it gets through things a lot quicker. And to me, I can completely understand what it's saying. Also, when the brain has to decipher things faster, if you're actually focused on it, it actually is easier to comprehend. It's easier to retain, I believe. That is a tested theory or whatnot. So I think that's pretty interesting. So most of the time I'm listening to things on 2 times speed. I purposely go out of my way to record things like TV shows and whatnot that are not easy to find. So I have a lot of shows that I could record and whatnot, either directly from YouTube or whatnot, but I'm like, you can just go to YouTube and look it up. You know, I do screen record a lot of like my wrestling review stuff or just random content like that. But as for like TV shows, most of the TV shows I really, have seen in my life, you can go right on YouTube and find them. You can find full series, full episodes, full seasons, all of it. Uncensored. That's a whole other topic about what we should censor, what we shouldn't censor, so to speak. Not necessarily censor, but more like monitor. But we'll go into that at probably another time. The things on YouTube that the celebrities and whatnot can put on there, they can be completely naked on there in music videos and doing different acts. But if you say something like, oh, this weather doesn't look right, or I don't want that in my body, or I don't want to go along with that agenda, it's a full-on issue. So, if you've been around on YouTube long enough, you talk about things that are actually serious, you understand. You ever try to basically give homage to copyrighted content? You try to re-upload someone's stuff, specifically if it's mainstream, Big 6 entertainment, ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, everything's owned. I mean, it's all connected. You can look that up too. It's pretty wild how much is all connected. You wouldn't think all these things are connected, but they actually are. Kind of like how Fox, ESPN, Disney, they're all really the same thing. NBC. So, you can say, well, I'm doing ESPN or Disney or whatnot. It's like that's not a Fox or a NBC. It's exactly what it is. Like, it's literally exactly what it is. And so they're very particular about things that you share that are someone else's content, so to speak. Like, I know when I do numerology videos and stuff, when I upload someone talking about a rigged sports game, and they show like the ending, or they'll show like the players like doing their little Masonic handshake at the end of the game, like, oh, you're my good buddy, I know we just beat each other up, but oh, now we're good buddies, and all these scripts, all these agendas at the end of the game. I get copyrights on those and whatnot. I don't really focus on it too much. unless the content goes down, it only matters to me so much. I know a good portion of my content will be blocked in other countries. I'm like, well, at least they kept it up. It's not right, but it could be worse, so to speak, in that regard. So it's not a big deal. My camera kind of messes up on recordings. I'm at 25 minutes now. I think it's a good time to take a break. I could definitely go into different things, but I think I got the gist out on several topics, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's not the most entertaining thing to watch. I'm walking around in the dark. There's not a whole lot to record and so forth. I'm dodging cars and all that type of stuff.